Bubba Chandler tossed 4 scoreless innings to earn his first big league win, and it's time to talk about what's next. Plus, we tackle a listener question comparing Termarr Johnson to Nick Yorke and count down the 10 best individual Pirates seasons since 1993. Next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary Morgan, and today we'll hit on pitching promise, prospect perspective, and a little trip down memory lane from Bubba Chandler's breakout to a listener-submitted debate on Termarr Johnson, and finally a countdown of the best individual seasons in the last 30 years of Pirates baseball. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Bubba Chandler got that first win knocked out last night. Pirates took a tight 2-1 win over the Cardinals yesterday in St. Louis, setting up today's game as a chance to either split or win the series. Carmen Mlodzinski opened the game with 4 scoreless innings, and then Bubba Chandler took over and stole the show. 4 innings, no runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and his first MLB win. It wasn't just the stat line, it was the poise. Chandler looked like a guy who belonged, made pitches well, mixed his pitches well, worked efficiently. He threw 47 pitches, 31 of them were strikes. He kept the Cardinals off balance the entire night. So what's next? I mean, I would think they should let him start next time, even if they cap him at 4 innings still. I mean, give him the routine and the prep and the opportunity to face a lineup fresh. I think he's earned it. With the rotation in flux, Chandler could be a key piece heading into September. You know, especially if this team truly wants to evaluate internal options for the offseason, I think it's key to get that time spent now. I'm not saying it even has to be a perma decision. You don't have to move him to starter and never look back. I mean, the way he's pitching right now, that might be the outcome. But you don't have to commit to that right now. You don't even have to commit to him finishing the season. If he hits his innings max before the end of the season, so be it. You know, do what you got to do to get your eyes on this kid and let him do what he has to do. I like the way they started him out. I think the couple relief outings, they were a really good way to get his feet wet. I just want to kind of circle back on a couple things that I've seen just since this outing last night. I've seen, Jason Mackey came out and said, pretty simple, they should have called him up earlier before the season was gone. I love Jason, but Jason's been covering this team a long time. He knows damn well, just as well as you do, the pitching was not the problem. It just wasn't. It hasn't been the problem all season. The problem has been getting runs to support that pitching. Recently, sure, there's been some clunkers in the rotation and whatnot, but nothing that Bubba would have single-handedly put on his shoulders and fixed. I mean, at best, a couple more wins, maybe. And he also should be aware, and I'm pretty sure he is, of the performance that he was putting down in the minors. I've seen, even right now, people talking about how it got into his head and that's why he was so wild down there. But yeah, I just don't buy that. I really don't. In fact, I think after 2 outings here, you've seen 2 very, very good examples of what Bubba Chandler can do when everything's working for Bubba Chandler. And everything's working for Bubba Chandler right now. He's landing everything. The changeup last night is a pitch that he's really been struggling with in the minors. And he pinpointed it a couple times. In fact, got a really key strikeout on it in a 3-2 situation. That's the kind of maturity with the changeup that I think the Pirates were waiting to see. And maybe they did, because again, it's not about the results so much of what he was doing in AAA. They'd long been convinced that he was going to be a member of this rotation before too long. But, his performance was based solely on trying to learn things. This changeup, they've been hammering him on for about 2 months now. Working on this pitch, feeling like he wasn't putting as much effort into it as you'd hope in the minors. It wasn't coming along, wasn't effective. He didn't trust it in big situations. So he comes up here and suddenly he's trusting it. And that's great. I also think a key thing to notice there is that he did this with Henry. And Henry seemed to be able to dial him back in. There was a few pitches where Bubba was getting a little wild high with his fastball, a little bit wild arm side with his fastball. And I saw Henry, guide him back into the zone pretty easily. That's something that's a talent that I don't think we mention very often for some catchers. Some have a knack for guiding their pitcher back in, knowing what it takes to get them back in the zone, get them under control, get them calm. So I can see that alone being a big difference between his performance in the minors and his performance up here. It's just the catching that he's throwing to now, it's much better. It just really is. It's a much better scouted game. I mean, he really knows the players that he's facing. He knows the players he's facing because the Pirates have faced them multiple times. So their tendencies, well, they're not just theoretical. They're in your face. They're on paper. They've been executed already. So it's a lot easier to arm that kid with that plan. And how do you prepare for 100 miles an hour? I mean, most guys know it's out there. Most guys have seen it. Most guys can hit it if there's no movement. But that's kind of what makes Paul Skeens and Bubba Chandler and Jared Jones and those types of fireballers, the guys that are able to throw those fastballs like that, that's what makes them so much more than just fireballers. They throw these pitches with movement. And the last thing I think that needed to really fall for Bubba was that changeup. And I got to tell you, it was excellent last night. Now, that could have just been one night. Or maybe it could have been the confidence he had to throw it to Henry. Or maybe the way that the statistics were laid out for him, he just trusted it way more than he did in the minors. No matter what, I don't need to know why it worked. I just know that it worked. And I'm looking forward to seeing him go out and execute again. The next step, I think, though, get him on the mound for a start. Let's let him do the whole thing. Watching him warm up in the bullpen last night actually kind of made me cringe a little bit. He's doing all of the stuff that he normally does when he is warming up for a start. He's doing the inflatable bag and the plyo ball and all of the different things that starters do when they start stretching. And the Pirates have no choice but to forewarn him when it's coming. But even that in game, it's difficult to time. Let's say, like they say, Bubba, you're going to start the fifth inning today. Right? That's when you're going to come in. Start getting ready here in the bottom of the third. Well, fine, but what if the top of the fourth is super long and the Pirates bat around and now you're talking about throwing off a routine and really messing with him. And it's not like this doesn't happen when guys start too. It just happened to Mitch Keller the other day. He was all ready to start game one here of the series or game two of the series, I'm sorry. And he's out there already warmed up, sitting in the dugout. Pirates go up to hit. They go out and just go ape. He's sitting there looking at his watch I haven't thrown a warm-up pitch in over 25 minutes. That could mess with guys. It didn't mess with him, but it can. So I would just like to see Bubba get the opportunity to start. Carmen's already done the bullpen thing. I don't think it would be too much to ask those two to reverse roles. And I also think if you do that, you get Carmen back into the mix of like a guy that can go multiple innings, multiple times a week. And this team needs that. It's super exciting about Bubba's first win, man. First save and win. It knocked out in consecutive outings. And I think the next one is let's get the first start knocked out. If he goes 5 innings and qualifies for a real major league win that way, hey, good for him. If he doesn't, hey, at least we're starting to get things scheduled here. I think you get Bubba going along with Oviedo, and then you're looking at a rotation that you probably feel like is about 4 deep. And you got a ton of options for that 5th spot. And I just think if he's able to solidify some hearts and minds this year before they go into a break in the off season, I think it answers some questions and maybe keeps them from doing something really stupid. I know. It's wishful thinking that it would prevent them from doing something really stupid. But listen, when we come back, we're going to pick up on some Ask Me Anything questions. A couple good ones really came in the last couple days here. I wanted to make sure I touched on them. We'll be right back. Hey, Locked On Pirates fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with a free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON. Get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or even an e-gift card for Amazon or other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Hey, do me the normal favor you always do of subscribing and liking, and do continue to send me in those Ask Me Anything questions. I love the idea of making this a regular segment on the show. It keeps you guys involved, and I think it keeps me thinking because some of these things I wouldn't have thought of on my own. First one here is from David. Aren't Yorke and Termarr Johnson very similar players, except Yorke can play more positions? Should we be more optimistic about one over the other? Whew. I mean, I got to be fair. David gave me a lot of information that he had already dug up. I see no reason not to use it, but I needed him to shorten the question for me and at least let me pretend I'm answering it. David's one of the smarter listeners we have, and former reader too, and he has a tendency to answer his own question when he's asking it, and I don't fault him for it because he's often right. But Nick Yorke, first round pick, started pro ball in 19 due to COVID. Hit 325 with a 928 OPS in his first year. Then he kind of regressed a little bit. He bounced back in Double-A. but not as much as you'd like. In fact, the promotion to AAA that he got from Boston, many people in Boston, and I'm friends with a lot of people in Boston because I mean, I've made friends with a whole community of podcasters there. Every one of them kind of said this was to make room in AA for another prospect to come up, not necessarily a promotion of like, you've earned it, Nick, get up there and see what you can do. Well, he went off in AAA, and it kind of prompted moving him back into some semblance of highly regarded prospect within the Boston system. It's why he was able to be the solo return really for a former number one pick pitcher. I think that's important to note. This year in AAA, he's had a little over 300 at bats, 12 home runs, 21 stolen bases, 834 OPS. Now, a lot of that has come along very recently. He started out really slow. The home run is especially were a problem. They weren't coming along, and I think people were concerned. Now, comparing him with Termarr, first round pick, started at 18. He's currently in AA. He's hitting 270 with a 744 OPS, 11 homers, 20 stolen bases, and 43 walks. Yorke plays more positions. He has more upper level experience. He's played in AAA for a few years now, a couple years. Johnson has more buzz, I think, if only because his ceiling is legitimately still higher than Nick Yorke's. But the numbers are strikingly similar. If Yorke were in the Pirates system the whole time, I suppose we would be just as excited about Termarr. The difference is mostly organizational context. Johnson has a clearer path, I would say, but only because we've decided he does. You're right. These probably are very similar players, Termarr Johnson and Nick Yorke. As far as like what they actually do, as far as getting them playing time up here, I still think Johnson's bat is probably a little more desirable. I really think that that they believe the power is going to emerge a lot more. I think so too. I think Nick Yorke is best served as a line drive hitter. I think Termarr Johnson is too. But I think Termarr will develop more natural power than I think Nick Yorke will, if only for one simple reason. Nick is right-handed and Termarr is left-handed, and at PNC Park, I like his ability to hit home runs a little more. I don't think Nick Yorke has PNC Park power. I think he's going to hit more doubles than home runs by a country mile too. That's that question. Michael says, is Jared, I guess I should wrap that. Yes, your point stands, I think, David. They are very similar. They probably should be seen very similar. The only real differentiator that I can think of is Yorke is closer and Termarr has a higher ceiling. Those are the two that I can think of. This is from Michael. Is Jared Triolo the anti-Keller? I love this. I get it. Keller slows down every year towards the end of the year, fading even. And Jared Triolo seems to pick it up and turn into a player. And this is statistical. I mean, it's right here. Here's his career OPS by month. April, 521. May, 547. June, 609. July, 585. August, 835. September, 825. That's not a fluke. It's a trend. Triolo heats up late every year, while Keller has often faded, whether it's mental, physical, or just rhythm. Triolo's second half surges, they're real. If he can start strong one year, perhaps he'd put together a full season and actually hold on to a position himself. I don't know what the answer is for Triolo's slow starts. First of all, I talked the other day about like how he struggles to retain his victories over the offseason. Things that he fixes in his swing or his approach or how he's going about things. Well, it shouldn't take you 5 months to make a major change that puts you back in a spot that you were 2 years ago. The main change that he made is lifting his hands up. That's what he was doing when he first got called up, way back when. So that's a reversion. That's not a fix. I don't know what to make of that. Keller, you got some excuses. Yeah, it's 3 years in a row he's done this. First year, here's a guy trying for the first time to reach 200 innings. Anything beyond like 170 was probably gravy for him. It was a little bit of a stretch, a reach. You understood, I think, why he faded that year. The next year, you figure, well, he's got that mark under his belt. He's definitely experienced it. He's going to be able to go on and carry that through. Not so much. It hasn't worked out that way. And this year, we started seeing it again. Great outing yesterday. The other day, totally happy about the outing that he had. Glad that he rebounded, but it follows 2 or 3 bad starts, right? So it's a thing. Just like Triolo getting good at the end of the year is a good thing. Well, Keller getting bad at the end of the year is a bad thing. You're right to say that they're kind of the antithesis of each other. One I can make more sense out of. One is more useful, even if this is what he remains. Like if this is what Keller remains, you probably got some questions about his effectiveness in a potential playoff series at some point. And down the stretch, when these games are super important, you can't be dropping games that are supposed to be won by one of your better pitchers. So this is going to become real tangible next year. In these losing seasons, it hardly matters. You can dismiss it almost as playing for a bad team that depleted their roster and what. Well, I don't think that's been the case this year. He's got the same team basically that he's had around him all year. And while his record has stunk all year, his pitching hasn't. So there's a very distinct difference between what he's done this last month versus what he did at the beginning of the season. Jared Triolo, I would just implore them to make sure that he doesn't lose whatever hitting changes he's made when he shows up to spring. Don't show up to spring with a different stance. Don't show up to spring doing something different with your hands. If this is working, take it into the future. When we come back, let's have some fun. Let's do the top 10 Pirates seasons, individual offensive seasons since 1993. Doesn't that sound like a blast? There's nothing like catching a baseball game live, the energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by a Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. The app makes it super simple. You can even see the exact view from the seat before you buy it. And I already mentioned it, but it's super important. Know your total up front. The fees are included with no surprise fees at checkout. Download Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates, and thank you very much for the great questions for the Ask Me Anything segment. Appreciate it. We'll do those as often as we get good questions in. That's what we're going to try to do. I want to do a top 10 list today of the best hitting seasons since 1993. I was just thinking to myself, like, man, when's the last time we had just a a standout offensive season. And that kind of led me into this rabbit hole. And then I started like coming up with a whole bunch of them. And I figured, let's just do 10. It's fun to do these things. You guys always seem to like them. So let's do it. Number 10, Josh Bell. In 2019, he had a 4.9 FWAR, 37 home runs, 116 RBI, 936 OPS. I love it. Breakout year and an all-star nod. And we all know how it went right after that too, which is just sad. Number 9, Starling Marte in 2015. He had a 5.0 FWAR, 19 home runs, 81 RBI, 25 stolen bases, and a Gold Glove. All around excellence, right? Let's go with Jason Bay at number 8. In 2005, he had a 5.7 FWAR, 32 home runs, 101 RBI, 961 OPS, first All-Star selection. What an unbelievable season. Number 7, Brian Giles, the forgotten slugger. 5.9 FWAR, 39 home runs, 1.032 OPS. And he was cut short by an ankle injury that year. He put up 5.9 FWAR in less than a complete season. Almost 40 home runs in less than a complete season. Good God in the goose fat, Brian Giles. How about Andrew McCutchen? 2013, 6.0 FWAR, NL MVP, 317 average, 404 on base, 508 slug, 21 home runs, 27 stolen bases, led the Pirates to the playoffs. What more do you want? How's that not number 1? Well, listen. Making his second appearance on this list, Brian Giles at number 5, 2000. 6.1 FWAR, 35 home runs, 123 RBIs, and a 1.026 OPS. That was his first All-Star selection. Andrew McCutchen shows up again here at number 4 in 2014 with a 6.4 FWAR. Another MVP caliber year, 314, 410, 542, 25 home runs, third straight Silver Slugger. I could argue 2014 was more of an MVP season than 2013, but that's about competition too. This one might surprise some of you. Clocking in at number 3, Jack Wilson. Jack Wilson in 2004, a 6.7 FWAR. Elite defense, plus 32 defensive runs saved in 2005. My goodness. 308 average, 201 hits, 12 triples, Silver Slugger. Jack Wilson came literally out of nowhere that season offensively. He had done nothing like that. It was insane. Another appearance by Andrew McCutchen for number 2. This is in 2012, where he had a 6.9 FWAR, third in MVP voting. He hit 327, 400, 553 slug, 31 home runs, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger. I can argue this is the best of the 3 Andrew McCutchen appearances, and that's why I put it number 2. And it's not the year he won the MVP. Isn't it unbelievable how things like that go? And who's ready for number 1? Who's doing the drum roll at home? Anybody? I'm just wondering. Brian Giles, again, 2002, 6.9 FWAR, a monster season, 1.072 OPS, 135 walks, 174 WRC plus. Only Barry Bonds was better offensively that season. Unbelievable. It's a list that reminds us how good Giles really was and how dominant McCutchen was in his prime and how rare it's been to see elite seasons in Pittsburgh. So many of those seasons we talked about were in a span of 3 or 4 years. That's it for today's Locked On Pirates. Bubba Chandler's future looks bright. Termarr Johnson's path is worth comparing. And Jared Triolo might just be the late season spark this team needs, right? And hey, don't forget how good Brian Giles really was. Subscribe, leave a review, and send in your questions. Until next time, let's go Bucks.